pressing record. Okay. All right. So tonight is the Menopause Makeover workshop. We're looking at some key building blocks to set yourself up for a successful menopausal transition. And for me, those key building blocks are a healthy lifestyle habits, good nutrition, and a clean environment. So that's what we're going to be covering tonight. So hopefully you're in the right place. But we are going to start with just some housekeeping first. So basically, who am I? I'm Jennifer Harrington. I'm a naturopath and I'm the clinical director of Menopause Natural Solutions. And I'm also a peri-menopausal woman. So I have been going through the transition for the last 5 years. I'm not there yet, but certainly my symptoms have changed over the time, but I'm currently in a very good place and I want to make sure that you are too. So let's just start quickly with what is menopause. And so when we look at the female hormone life cycle, we are born with hormones. We're just born with lower levels of hormones. And when we go through puberty, it's a roller coaster ride. It's a transition. It's from lower hormonal levels to higher hormonal levels. It's not a disease. It's not a disorder. It's a normal, natural cycle of life. Common signs and symptoms could be things like acne, could be headaches or migraines, could be issues with bleeding, might be anemia, could be pain. But then we settle into the fertile years. And in the fertile years, you'll generally find that things are more predictable, that hopefully all the issues with puberty have gone away. I know not all women it's a smooth ride, but for the vast majority of women, it's a relatively smooth ride in comparison. We then hit perimenopause, and it's kind of the opposite of puberty, except we're going from a high level of hormones to a low level of hormones. And what generally happens is that our progesterone levels start to drop first, which can cause a whole lot of symptoms due to estrogen dominance. So we've got estrogen and progesterone, and they should be in ratio to each other. And what we generally find is that progesterone drops first. So estrogen hasn't gone up, but the ratio has changed. And we're going to talk about those ratio differences further on tonight. And later on, estrogen does drop and does catch up, but the initial depends where you are in your journey. And we've got a poll to answer later on, so I can find out where all of you are, so that we get a better understanding and can tailor tonight to be more specific for you. And then we find menopause. Now, menopause is actually just a moment in time, where perimenopause is possibly up to a 10-year transition beforehand of irregularity. And then with menopause, it is not defined by blood tests. It is defined as 12 months after your last period. And it's just really a moment, because after that, you're in postmenopause. And you're in postmenopause for the rest of your life. But what I'm excited about, and I hope that you're excited about, is that the average age of menopause is 51. And the average age of death is 84. That is 33 years. That is longer than any other part of this journey. And it is a time for you to focus on you. Hello. Sorry guys, I had a bit of a Wi-Fi issue there. I am back. Can I just get everyone to jump in the chat again and check that they're all back? Okay, hopefully you can see and hear me. My Wi-Fi dropped out, which was unexpected. But here we are. So let's keep going. Bear with me a moment. I'll just get my screen back up and we will continue. All right, so we're talking about the female hormone life cycle, and I was saying how excited I was that from menopause onwards, for the average woman is 33 years, and this is the longest phase of your life. And it's not a phase where you're looking at creating a family or raising children. It's a time of life for you. And this is exciting because we want you to be in the absolute best health so that you can enjoy this time. You don't want to have the longest phase of your life and be unwell or to be not fully functioning. So optimal health is what we're aiming for. And I don't want to be the only one at 84 who's still running around. I want friends. I want people who are just as healthy as I am who can join me. So I hope you do join me. Anyway, what we're going to do now is we're just going to do a quick poll to see where everyone is. Let me just launch the poll now. All right, guys, so I'm going to give you a moment just to fill it in. So the first question is, where are you in your journey? Just so I can help tailor tonight for you. Are you here to prepare or are you experiencing symptoms? And also, if you are experiencing symptoms, what symptoms are you experiencing? So don't forget to fill that in. Hopefully you can all see it. So the poll should be in the middle of your screen. It should be quite easy just to tick on a box. Okay. I'll give you guys a little bit longer to fill that in. While you just do that, I'm going to quickly see. No questions so far, which is great. All right, so we have a bit of a split. We have some of you in perimenopause, which are having mild symptoms, and we have some of you in postmenopause who are experiencing some symptoms. So when I look through the symptoms, we've got hot flushes and night sweats, insomnia, mood issues, and weight gain. So I'm just going to write that down so if I can refer to it later on, I will. Hot flushes, moods, weight, insomnia. All right. Thank you guys for answering that. Let's go back to the presentation. All right. So, healthy lifestyle habits. This is the first of our building blocks that we're going to be discussing tonight. And I want tonight to be more interactive. I don't want it just to be me talking to you, or I might as well be on the podcast again. But with this, I want to ask you what you think are some healthy lifestyle habits. And how I want to do this is with the chat box. So if you want to start putting in the chat box, what are some healthy lifestyle habits that you currently have? So some of the common lifestyle habits could be exercise. Exercise is a really good stress management tool. It can have 3 different components. We can have the cardiac component, we can have the weight bearing component, we can have a stretching component. So that can be one. Does anyone have any other ideas of what would be some beneficial lifestyle habits? And with exercise, I've got to say, actually, the key component to exercise is actually fun. So getting out there and doing something that you enjoy. Some people like solo sports like swimming and walking and running, and other people prefer group activities where they're actually socializing. So it might be a game of tennis. I'll tell you about myself. I love salsa dancing. So my My boyfriend and I, pre-COVID, used to go for weekly, sometimes twice weekly, salsa dancing. And that was something that we love to do for exercise. And it's something that we had a lot of enjoyment out of. And I can't wait for COVID to be over so I can get out and keep dancing. So we've got some comments here. So we've got exercise, yep. Eating well, meditating, breath work, time in nature. Now, you can actually combine some of those. So, Sue, they were great examples. And what if you could exercise out in nature and concentrating on your breathing as you do it? So, it could be a walk along the beach while focusing on your breathing, maybe even watching the sunset or the sunrise. That just sounds magical. And Cheryl's got a couple of comments in here as well. So she's like, regular exercise 3 to 4 times a week. Go girl. Mainly yoga. And that's actually a really interesting point, because in different phases of our life, we tend to do, or tend to be attracted to, different forms of exercise. And I have to say, during the menopausal transition, things like yoga and Pilates and walking and swimming, the more gentler kind of exercise, is actually really ideal at this time of life, because during our transition we are more prone to injury. I don't know if you know that. So our collagen levels are starting to reduce. We might have more inflammation because of everything else going on. I do see a lot of women injuring themselves when they, especially women that haven't been exercising and may start exercising. Maybe they go straight for boot camp or HIIT or CrossFit. They're great exercises, but maybe not where you should start, and maybe not ideal for this time of life. So exercise, yoga exercise is great, Cheryl. Reducing sugar, healthy eating. So we are going to talk about those, but that's later on in the diet section. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my screen and we'll talk through some of the ideas that I had for you. Okay, so the first picture for me is a healthy mindset, positive thinking, being happy. Some women like to do affirmations or visualizations. It's just having a positive outlook in life that goes a long way. The next picture is about socializing and connecting. I'm actually reading a book at the moment on Audible, and I just thought I'd mention it because it's so relevant to this particular picture. And it's called Lost Connections by Joan Hari. It's uncovering the real causes of depression and the unexpected solutions. And the chapter I'm reading at the moment is that he talks about different causes of depression. And cause number 3 is disconnection from meaningful relationships. So if there's somebody that you haven't spoken to for a while, or maybe you had a fight with, it's a really good time to mend the bridge, build bridges, and get back in contact with people and really focus on the key meaningful relationships in your life and how you can maintain those in the long run. And maybe it's even finding new social circles. The next one is exercising out in nature. So it could be a lovely bike ride. Moving down, we have body work. So whether it's massage or acupuncture, chiropractic, osteopathy, or even physiotherapy, it's good to have multiple people working on different parts of your body. So physical body health is very important. We have a weight bearing component to the exercise. And the next one is actually about continued education. We really want to stimulate our brain, keep it active. It can be, maybe you've always wanted to learn another language. Maybe you want to go back to university or do some sort of training or courses, because it's never too late. I had I've got to remember now, I think she was 74-year-old woman in one of my subjects at uni. And she'd always wanted to be a nutritionist, and her husband had passed away, her kids had grown, and this was her time. And I went, go girl. You're never too late. So as long as you've still got a brain, it's not too late. You can use it, you can stimulate it. Yeah. The next one is about meditation, mindfulness, which we've had some suggestions about that tonight, and we will go through a little exercise in a moment. And nature. I just love the beach. There's nothing better than a lovely day at the beach, fresh air, sunshine. Hopefully, you do some exercise, a walk or a swim or both. Um, I really love floating. It just depends where you're swimming. You don't want to be doing that in a surf beach. But if it's a nice bay or a river, just to float, it's great. And the last one was supposed to be a picture of salsa dancing, but I chopped too much of the picture off, so it's hard to tell that what they're doing is actually salsa dancing. So I hope that has given you some ideas of some other ways of being more mindful and adding in some healthy lifestyle habits. The exercise I want to run you through is paced respiration. Paced respiration is actually clinically trialed. They did a research program and vast majority of the women had a reduction in hot flushes. So I know that hot flushes was one of the things that was marked tonight as being a symptom that some of you out there are experiencing. So why not spend a couple of minutes discussing paced respiration, because it's free. You can do it anywhere and you don't need anyone's help. You can do it on your own. So I'm going to show you how to do it. And the first thing starts with having deep diaphragmatical breath. So I'm just going to stand for a moment. I want you to put a hand on your chest and a hand on your tummy. So you might as well do this. No one's watching. I can't see you. So, and I want you to take a really deep breath in. I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to get you to watch my hands. Hopefully you can see that my bottom hand is actually moving first. When I take a deep breath, I want to fill all my lungs. I want to get it all the way down here. So hopefully when you breathe, it's the same. We're all born diaphragmatical breathers, but life throws us curveballs and we stop. Sometimes we have to relearn how to breathe deeply. And if you find that your top hand is moving first and that your bottom hand doesn't move at all, you're a shallow breather. And for you, I'd actually recommend sitting in front of a mirror and just watching your hands until you find that it's the lower hand that moves first. And just see how that feels. So just keep practicing. But for those of you who've got it, who are deep diaphragmatical breathers and your bottom hand does move first, with paced respiration, they just looked at counting to 5 on the inhalation and counting to 5 on the exhalation. So we might as well try. So when you're ready, I want you to take a nice deep breath in. 2, 3, 4, 5. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5. And in. 2, 3, 4, 5. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do it 3 more times and in. 2, 3, 4, 5. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5. And in. 2, 3, 4, 5. And out. 2, 3, 4, 5. How are you feeling? I'm going to stop this for a moment and we're going to go over to the chat box because I want to see how you're feeling. Is this something that is a regular part of your life and you already know how to breathe deeply and you have different breathing techniques that you utilize? Or is this something new for you? And how are you feeling? Are you feeling calm and relaxed? I don't know. You guys tell me. So just over in the chat box, just type in how you found that exercise, if you've done it before, and how you feel. You're being shy. I can't see you, so you might as well right away. Um, Here we go. Feeling good. Yeah, so the thing is about regularity that with the research, they looked at doing it twice a day. So it might be something that you need to put a little reminder on your phone so that you can remember, okay, let's breathe. Let's do it once in the morning and once in the night. And it's also the kind of thing, if you are feeling hot and flushy, you can always go and lock yourself into a toilet. Can be a toilet at a friend's place, can be at work, can be out in public, can be at home, just so you get a bit of privacy and you can take a moment for yourself to actually calm your breath and reset. So let me just read some of these other comments. Does make the difference. It's really calming. I agree, Sue. Absolutely. Ah, awesome, Catherine. I'm glad to hear that you try to do it every day. Awesome. Great, guys. All right, moving on. Actually, before I move on, does anyone have any questions about any of the lifestyle tips we spoke about? Does anyone have any additional suggestions that they want to add? Because there's heaps. There's heaps of suggestions that, like art. Art wasn't up there. Some people really find drawing or painting or pottery a great way to calm down. Music's another one, whether it's playing an instrument, singing, listening to music. There's so many different ideas. That's just a few because tonight we're talking about 3 different topics. So we need to move on, otherwise we will run out of time. Okay. Good nutrition. Yes, so I would love to hear what you think is good nutrition. What are you currently trying to do? Because I love hearing what people think is good, because quite often it's very different from what I think is good, and it just helps me gauge where we need the education. So, moving over to the chat box, let's have a look at some of the comments that you think makes good diet. And while you guys are thinking and while you guys are chatting, I'm going to talk to you about fats, because our generation and the generation before us are buggered, because most of us have lived most of our life on a low fat diet. And this is very, very detrimental. Like, I've currently got a shoulder issue, and I think, number one thing, good fats, good oils. So I'm taking some supplements, but I really wish that I had a lifetime of eating really, really good fats. So that is just one. Let's go back and have a look at some of the other ideas that I've got here. Oh, sorry, wrong button. Joys of modern technology, hey? All right, so good nutrition. We're going to start with the very bottom of this picture. So there are macronutrients. We've got our fats, we've got our carbohydrates, and we've got our proteins. So starting with good fats. Great dietary fats are things like olives, avocados, nuts and seeds, seafood. This is a key macronutrient that has been bullied, bad named, I don't know what you call it, for so long, that really it shouldn't be. Yes, there are bad fats, and the bad fats are anything deep fried, anything overly heated, anything man-made. When we're looking at natural fats, like I said, olives, avocados, eggs, seafoods, these are your beneficial fats, and we should be eating them in abundance. Um, and as I mentioned, I take a supplement because I know that I have had decades of my life where I haven't had adequate fats. And now I want to make up for lost time and I want an insurance policy that I have enough today. The next macronutrient is your carbohydrates. And you really want to be eating a lot of plant-based foods, predominantly plant-based foods. You should have lots of vegetables and salads and fruit in your diet. And finally, the macronutrient is protein. So we have some vegetarian and some animal forms of protein. I am actually a fan of having animal protein in your diet. It is a complete protein with all the amino acids and collagen and beneficial things that you need. But if you have a quick look at the picture of the fridge, if you were to think that the fridge was actually your plate, you can see that it is predominantly plant-based. It's predominantly salads, vegetables, and with a portion of animal proteins. In the picture, we also have water. As we age, we want to try and stay as hydrated as possible. So just a little reminder, 2 liters of water a day. The picture underneath it is actually sage tea. So there are some menopausal specific herbal teas, and sage is one of them. Some people find any hot drinks trigger them. And if that is you, whether it's coffee, tea, anything hot is triggering a hot flush, then you can actually have iced tea. So you can brew up your sage tea, chuck some ice cubes in it, maybe drink it warm, maybe drink it cold, just an option. The top left-hand corner is your phytoestrogens. So phytoestrogens are in a lot of your nuts and your seeds and your legumes. And then we have the Brassicaceae family, and that is actually what I want to focus on today. The consumption of broccoli and the rest of the Brassicaceae family. So we've got some big words, so I wrote them down to make sure I get it right. So broccoli helps to improve estrogen metabolism. And when you break down estrogens, we get estrogen metabolites. And there are 2 key ones that we're going to discuss. One is 2-hydroestrone, and the other one is 16-alpha-hydroestrone. And they're known as 2 or 16. And they quite often look at the ratio of 2 to 16 in testing. So 2 actually calms the stimulating effects of estrogen on the tissues, where 16 stimulates estrogen-related cell growth. So when we're looking at the ratio of 2 to 16, if you are still bleeding and you have a higher level of 16, some of the signs and symptoms you may experience is heavier periods, more painful periods, any kind of reproductive growths, whether it's endometriosis, fibroids, cysts, these kind of things. So when the ratio is imbalanced, we do find that we have issues with, like I said, growths, and growths do also mean cancerous growths. So we really want to correct that ratio. And the Brassicaceae family, in particular broccoli, will actually do that. It will help to rebalance that ratio and reduce your risk of hormonal cancers. Now, if you ask me, how much broccoli do you have to eat to do this? 500 grams. I couldn't find a broccoli that was 500 grams in my supermarket. So this one's 300 grams and this one's 200 grams, but together they're 300 grams, which is a lot of broccoli to be eating every day. I reckon I could do it one day, but I don't think I could do it every day. So this is one of the cases where you can get powder that maybe you want to put in your smoothies or in your drinks, or you can get supplemental tablets, capsules that you can take. Or if you think you're going to eat that much broccoli, good on you. I want to encourage you to give it a go, because I think even if you eat this much broccoli in a day, this is better than not having any. Or maybe you have this much and you take half a dose of a supplement or half a dose of a powder to top it up. Something to be mindful of. So the key ingredients in broccoli. So we've got diindolylmethane, which is DIM for short, which some of you may have heard of. And we have indole 3-carbinol, which is also known as I3C. And they're the ingredients that balance those ratios. In broccoli, we also have sulforaphane. And sulforaphane is the ingredient that promotes healthy liver function and detoxification. It also helps reduce the effects of aging by reducing oxidative stress, and it could also prevent diabetes. But we can't move on without saying it's not for everyone. I'm sorry, there's nothing that is great for everyone, and the only issue with broccoli is that it contains glycosinolates, and glycosinolates may be goitrogenic. And goitrogenic just means that it may inhibit iodine uptake and may actually cause havoc with your thyroid hormones. So how you inactivate it is you cook it. Don't eat it raw, cook it. If you do already have a established thyroid condition, speak to a practitioner. But if you don't have a thyroid condition, cooking your broccoli is my advice. If you're one of the handful of people that can't tolerate broccoli, it also contains sulfur. So some of the other sulfur containing vegetables are garlic and onion. So if you go, no, I can't eat any sulfur containing foods, makes me feel unwell, this is a key sign that you have a molybdenum deficiency. Molybdenum is a trace mineral that helps us process our sulfur. So if you're one of those people, please don't try and consume this much broccoli. You may make yourself unwell. It's better to look at what your molybdenum levels are. And how I check that is through the hair test. I do a hair tissue mineral analysis, and that looks at my toxic metals, but it also looks at my mineral levels. So it's the only way I know how to check some of the trace minerals like molybdenum and manganese. So that can give us an indication. But also, if you're getting the symptoms, then I would take some molybdenum and see how you're feeling, and then see if you can add in sulfur containing foods afterwards. How are you guys going? That was a bit of information that we just went through with the food. So we've got some information here. So Cheryl's eating lots of fruits and vegetables and fish, been taking supplements for 12 years. Well done. Coconut oil, I don't think I mentioned coconut. Coconut is a saturated fat, but it is a very, very beneficial oil. I use it for my cooking. I really love it in curries and stir fries. Coconut oil is one of the best oils to heat. A lot of oils go rancid with high temperatures, so they're not really good to eat, but coconut can withstand a fair bit of heat. So that's what I cook with, and nuts. All right. Any comments? Was the broccoli new information? It was probably a little bit scary when I showed you how much you actually need to eat, but it is possible to do it with food, and you don't need to eat it in one sitting. You might decide that you want to chuck a little bit in a green smoothie in the morning and have some for salad at lunch and have some for dinner. Do we have any comments about food or any questions? What we might do is we'll move on. If you have any questions, write them down. And when we finish the next environmental section, I will come back and have a look at them. I hope you're all enjoying tonight. I hope you're learning lots and having some fun. All right, back here. Now we move on to the final building block that we're going to talk about tonight, and that is a clean environment. I'm not sure if you're aware, but there's over 140 million registered chemicals. That's scary. And most of them have not been tested for human safety. And the ones that have been tested in isolation. We don't have single toxins. They're all in combinations. So that's really scary. So Sorry, back to the chat box. I want to see what you guys are currently doing and what you think are some tips to help clean our environment. And I did get asked the question about food and what foods help to reduce hot flushes. And I would say I would start with your phytoestrogens. So your phytoestrogenic foods are a lot of nuts and seeds. Flax seeds are a particularly good one. Um, I get flax seeds, almonds, and sunflower seeds. It's also called LSA. And I put them in a grinder, blend them all up, and then it's like a powder. So I can sprinkle the powder over my food, or if I'm having a drink, I can put it in my drink to help get some phytoestrogens. A lot of people talk about soy with phytoestrogens. I am not a soy fan. Vast majority of it is not organic, and it's also a goitrogen. So sorry, don't go down the soy route. Have a look at your phytoestrogens. If you jump onto my website, jump onto the blog, and you put in the search bar phytoestrogens, there's an article on there with the different foods that are considered to be phytoestrogens. So I hope that has helped. All right. Clean environment, guys. Any ideas? Don't be shy. I don't bite. Here we go. Toxic products, makeup, moisturizing, cleaning products, personal care products are filled with toxins. Um, and one of the biggest toxins is actually fragrance. So if you guys are still wearing perfume, I would rethink that there are some beautiful aromatherapies or essential oils they call them these days, sorry, that don't have the toxic effects. So maybe I know that Clary Sage, I'm not an aromatherapist, but I've had some aromatherapists on the podcast and they have educated me. So if you're interested in that, jump on the podcast. I did a 2-part series, I think it was end of last year. And I remember Clary Sage being a key one that they speak about. And cleaning products. Oh my goodness, cleaning products. Awesome. All right. So thank you for those comments. Let's jump and see what I have to say about the matter. Here we go. All right. So let's start with our clothes. Like what kind of fabrics are you wearing? Because ideally we'd be wearing natural fibers, not synthetic fibers. And then the next thing to consider is how are you cleaning them? We want to avoid any clothes that need dry cleaning because dry cleaning is very toxic. So hopefully something that you can wash and that you can wash in an environmentally friendly cleaner. I'm not here to promote any particular brands, but I will say I use EcoStore. And I use EcoStore because I have for ages. They were one of the first companies that came around. And where I live in Australia, I can easily buy it at Woolies. So it's easy, it's not too expensive, and it's been around for ages. So yeah, look at your clothes and how you clean them. Plastics. Oh my goodness, plastics. Please, hopefully nobody is drinking out of plastic water bottles anymore. Hopefully you're not using cling wrap in your home. That could be where you might want to start. Might be, okay, well, what's plastic in my home? And look at what foods you're buying. Are you buying foods in plastic or glass? Like olive oil is a really good example. Olive oil should be in dark glass, yet I see it for sale in clear plastic. It's like olive oil goes rancid in light, so we want it to be dark, and we don't want the plastic in there either. So have a look at your plastics. We mentioned cleaning products. A lot of them are really nasty and toxic. We haven't mentioned here the role of mold, but if you think you've got mold in your house, it might be worth getting an expert, a mold specialist, to come in and assess their depending on where in the world you are. I know in Australia we have building biologists. They can come into your home, they can test for mold, and not all mold is seen or smelt. So that's scary. Um, they also can look at EMF and radiation just to check that that's not a problem. Got a list here of other things. Oh, food, contaminated food. If you're eating commercially grown food, it's not possible to get all the pesticides and herbicides off. I do recommend you wash your food, but glyphosate gets into the DNA of the plant. You can't wash that off. Depending on what sort of budget you're on, in an ideal world, I say go 100% organic. But I know that's not affordable for everyone. So in this case, I would recommend that you have a look at the Environmental Working Group, and they have their Clean 15 and their Dirty Dozen. And anything on the Clean 15, I say if you can't afford it, just eat it commercially grown. It's generally a lot of foods that have thick skins on them that are more protected. I think mango is one of the examples that it's harder to get through the skin. And they also have the Dirty Dozen, which strawberry most years is the top of the list. The list changes slightly each year, but strawberries is consistently in the top 2 or 3. And that is because it's very porous skin. Like the glyphosate gets in straight away. So think about foods, cosmetics. We spoke about personal care products and cosmetics, plastics, paints. Like we've been talking about chemicals, but what about heavy metals? Unfortunately, we are the lead generation. Growing up, lead-based paints. Lead was in our petrol, was in our air. And what would happen when we would encounter toxic metals is our body's really smart. It knows this is a toxic metal. I need to get it out of the blood supply. I need to protect the body. Let's put it in the bones. Bones is going to be really safe. We'll worry about it later. But now is later. Now is the time where we're starting to lose our bone mass. And as we lose our bone mass, we're re-releasing those toxins that are stored in the bone. So with a lot of my patients, I do hair tissue mineral analysis to see what kind of metals are being released from their body so we know what we need to clean up. And I have never seen anyone that doesn't have anything. Even my daughter, she's got aluminium in her. But we all live in the same toxic world, unfortunately. So yes, so the tests that I like to use, the H2MA and also the GPL tox, and that's looking at chemicals that are that you've absorbed through the environment. Now, I know from the poll that we had at the beginning that 50% of you are still bleeding. You're still having periods. So I do want to take this moment to talk to you about female hygiene products. So even if you're not bleeding, I want you to keep this in mind in case you ever need urinary incontinence products. Hopefully not. Come see me if you do. Let's see what we can do about fixing that. But when we're thinking about the female reproductive system, this is a really, really sensitive area. It's quite similar to the inside of your mouth. And I know personally, I wouldn't put bleach inside the inside of my mouth and go, it's okay, I'm not swallowing it. It's still going to be absorbed. And it's the same with your vagina. Whatever you put in there, it's going to absorb. And your average sanitary products contain, let's have a look on the list, herbicides, pesticides, bleach, plastic, phthalates, petrochemicals, fragrances and dyes. I don't want that anywhere near me, especially not anywhere near my genitals. And as we age, this area becomes more sensitive and drier. So even more reason to go organic now. So your options are you could buy the organic versions of products, or you can buy the reusable products. You can buy reusable pads, you can buy reusable undies, and just to reduce the amount of toxic chemicals. So I hope I haven't freaked anyone out or scared anyone. I'm just going to jump out of here and let's go back to the chat box. How's everyone feeling about the environment section? Does anyone have any questions, any comments? We're not done. We still have another little bit to go. I just want to make sure that I've covered everything before we move on. Okay. All right. Well, let's go back to my screen. I'll come back here again one more time before the end of the night. So if you think of anything, no idea dry cleaning was toxic. Yeah. You're better to buy fabrics that you can wash and clean yourself, because how are they cleaning if they're not cleaning with water? They're cleaning with chemicals. When I used to have when I used to have a bricks and mortar naturopathic clinic, a wellness clinic that was everything for everyone before I started specializing in menopause. And the amount of school children I would see with eczema that was reacting to their private school uniform that had to be dry cleaned. And as soon as they got to school holidays, the eczema would clear up. And I'm like, it's the dry cleaning, it's your uniform. You need to find another way of cleaning it, or maybe not dry clean it as often. Um, so I'm glad you learned something tonight, Sue. All right, last time. Here we go. So I hope you guys have learned something tonight and that you have something to take away. We're going to start with the importance of a regular breathing practice. However you may want to do it, I do recommend setting up notifications on your phone. That way you're reminded daily. We had a chat about food and the importance of the Rosacea family, particularly broccoli, and we had a chat about your female hygiene products. If you have enjoyed tonight, I'm actually on Monday starting a Menopause Makeover group. So it's your opportunity to learn with me in a group environment. It runs for 3 months, and each month we'll be tackling a different building block. So the first month is all about lifestyle. So instead of tonight rushing through so many things so quickly, we're going to spend a month deep diving into lifestyle. We're then going to spend a month deep diving into diet. And the final month, we're going to be looking at the environment and how you can clean it up. We're also going to have a book club each month, and we're going to have a socializing component, which I've called coffee or cocktails, depending on what time it is and where you are in the world. So working with me, there's multiple ways to do it. And one-on-one consultations will get you there the fastest, but it's also the most expensive. So I want to make sure that there's opportunities for everyone, depending on their budget, to get some benefits. So one-on-one consultations if you've got the money for it and if you want to get there fast. The group coaching, like I said, the Menopause Makeover group, which is starting on Monday, is certainly an option if you don't have as much money to invest. So the 3 month program is $197. If you want something a little bit cheaper, we have my book, From Invisible to Invincible, The Natural Menopause Revolution. This is $35, and for $35 you get the physical book, the interactive book and postage. The problem with a physical book is that once it's printed, it's printed. I can't change anything. But with the interactive books, I can add things to it and I can update it. So that's also included when you buy the physical book. Or if you're really on a low budget, you've got my podcasts. They are free and they're released weekly. So you can stay on top of all the latest knowledge there. So I want to thank you for your company tonight. Thank you for showing up and for interacting and for playing. It's made it more enjoyable for me and hopefully more enjoyable for you. I'm going to go back and check and see if there's any final questions. If not, good night. A quick favor from me is there is a webinar, just like a check-in sheet, just to see how I went, what things you found positive. I would love to hear your feedback on that. Enjoy your evening, guys.